I hope you enjoyed this film. It was a great movie. And I wanted to let you know, first off, that this is available for voting for the Audience Award. So keep that in mind. You can do that on the website. Also, I need to definitely thank our sponsors, KZOZ 93.3 Radio, which is a big sponsor of this movie, which is very appropriate. And also we have BHE Renewables, American General Media, and KSBY, who also, we couldn't put the film festival on without them. So a big thanks there. So anyway, well, welcome everybody. I'm so glad we have a nice crowd. I was just expecting Aaron and Chelsea here, but it looks like we have more. So maybe probably best just to each introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Krister, and I am the director of Bleeding Audio.
All right. Aaron?
Hi, I'm Erin Persley. I'm the producer of Bleeding Audio.
Great. And?
Hey, I'm John Devoto. I'm a party crasher, and I am the guitar player for the matches.
Hey, my name is Patrick Lawler, and I'm one of the cinematographers for the film.
Oh, great. Cinematographer. Good. Nice bonus. Well, anyway, I really enjoyed the film. I'm a musician myself. I'm also a documentary filmmaker. So I was getting it on both levels and really enjoying it. So, I mean, a natural question that always comes up is, you know, like what really launched this film or the journey to take? I know a documentary film is a tremendous amount of hours and labor. And it was, you know, there's so many shots and so many things to cover. Kind of what really kicked this off?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what made me decide to make the film was really just these guys having that crazy sellout. I knew that it was going to be a bigger deal. They were hard to convince, and it, you know, and just learning more about their story and everything just kind of culminated in this, oh, I think there's a bigger story to tell here. But what really, you know, got us into gear was we had a Kickstarter campaign that was successful in kind of late 2014. And it was basically mostly funded by Matches fans. And that's what gave us the production funds to actually start making the film. And then had another one in 2017 and for finishing funds. And it's been a 6-year journey, but it was something that I knew that there was an important story to tell here that was, you know, about the matches, but there was a bigger story to tell too, which was about this changing music industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, maybe talk a little bit about that. Any of you can chime in on this, but you know, I've watched it myself, how it's radically changed. I've known musicians who were selling, you know, lots of CDs, and then all of a sudden that just completely crashed. And it's very difficult terrain out there. So anybody want to speak on that?
Yeah, I guess the music industry has obviously changed a lot since the internet kind of became a thing where people got all their music from. Touring basically became the only way for a lot of musicians to really make money or try to make money or try to make new fans. And obviously with COVID now, a lot of musicians are just totally at a loss. Musicians, dancers, any creative types who used to perform as their primary way to do it can't even do that anymore. So it's a really confusing place for people that are doing it full time to try to figure out what that even means.
Yeah. Can I don't mean to interrupt you, John.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say.
But no, I think what I find really interesting is that, you know, the industry shifted and just completely erased music as having monetary value. And so, you know, artists were forced to tour because that's, you know, that's where the money was, right? But the thing is that, you know, prior to the pandemic, touring wasn't sustainable either. You know, it's not a healthy way to live. You know, the extent to which artists need to tour in order to make a living is not a healthy way to make a living, in my opinion. And I think I mean, I don't even think it's my opinion. I think it's just true. I mean, you saw it in the film, like that burnout is so evident. And while I think that that hunger and that energy is something that many up and coming artists have, like it's something that's really hard to sustain. And, you know, there's that hope that you can break through and maybe tour a little more comfortably, but even touring comfortably to the extent at which artists need to tour is not a super healthy thing on mental health, on physical health. And if there's anything that the pandemic has done is, you know, it's exposed that this like singular income for artists, now that it's gone, I mean, it wasn't sustainable in the first place. And so we have to, you know, find a way for artists to have revenue that isn't completely reliant on touring, because again, like I'm going to say it over and over, because it wasn't a sustainable form of income in the first place. So I'm really hoping that what comes out of the pandemic is an understanding that in order to support and keep our artists alive, we need to find ways of compensating them for the art that they create and not literally everything that surrounds their art, right? Like the t-shirt or the, you know, or, you know, the tour or the, you know, it's crazy. So anyway, let me get off the soapbox.
Sure. Well, yeah, let's get back to the film, because people are wondering, you know, it's what were some of maybe the challenges? I mean, we've got the cinematographer with us, fortunately. We have also the producer. You know, getting this film made and getting it, you know, 6 years is not uncommon for a documentary, but I'm sure you had a lot of hurdles and challenges. And did it kind of reach your expectations of what you wanted out of the film?
Yeah, I can start with, and then Patrick, you can chime in whenever you're you're ready. So yeah, I came into the film about 3 years into that 6 year journey. So uh, it was, and I basically came on, saw a rough cut, and really thought that the film was sort of worth pushing forward. But of course, yeah, tons of challenges. Documentary is like a marathon. You're constantly wanting to jump ship, and hopefully I was constantly telling Chelsea to keep on going. I think there's a lot of obvious factors. Of course, fundraising is incredibly challenging for docs. It's incredibly challenging for this film. I think most people, when we pitched the film, if they hadn't initially heard of the matches, were sort of unsure of how it was going to hit a larger audience.
Yeah.
And I think they really didn't think about how sort of what Chelsea and John are talking about is that this idea of being sustainable artists or musicians is not just about, you know, in music, right? Being sustainable, whether you're a filmmaker, whether you're a painter, right? Those challenges are sort of are universal. And so we were really trying to push the film as, even though it's a story about the matches and what the matches went through, it is a universal story, right? You can, even if you haven't heard of the music, really connect with the characters, connect with the people, connect with sort of the struggle. But I think that was obviously a little bit of a challenge, just to get people on board who maybe weren't initially aware of the matches. And then of course there's like the constant, you know, the constant slog of post-production, right? We had a lot of challenges just trying to, Chelsea had so much amazing archival footage and photographs and all different elements we wanted to put into it, and trying to figure out how we can sort of put it in and not make a, you know, 7-hour epic was a struggle. I mean, we luckily got to 91 minutes, which was great. If anyone asked us to cut 2 more, I think we would have had like a fight. But it was, I think, yeah, those are some of the struggles, I think, starting off from my end. But all of it, of course, is worth it. I think we've gotten a lot of people who really enjoy the film, and the festival scene has been, although changing because it's virtual, has been really a joy to interact with during all the Q&As and everyone else. So that's been really nice.
And Patrick, how much now you did the cinematography? How much of that was your footage, or you obviously had to mix it with a lot of other mediums and maybe even cinematographers as well?
Yeah, so I got involved right as the like the reunion shows in San Francisco sold out. So basically, I was in charge of shooting a lot of the interviews and a lot of the live footage. And so I would definitely say, like, one of the challenges for Chelsea, not really for me, was definitely the size of the footage and how much footage there was, because I was shooting on a red camera, and then she had a whole bunch of other DPs and camera operators, and she was operating a camera. And so we just collected so much live footage of these guys. And I was shooting slow motion. So, you know, 120 frames a second concert footage. Really, really fun to shoot, and it turned out so beautiful. It's so much fun looking at it. I really love it.
Yeah. Yeah, what an editing challenge. There's a million ways you can go with it, you know. All that
No, and
footage.
there's so much footage. There's so much
Oh, yeah.
footage on the cutting room floor. You know, we had originally gone into production thinking that we would have, you know, that the reunions at the end of the movie would be like 40 minutes long, you know, it would be like 40 minutes of content. And it ended up being like the last 15, 20 minutes of the movie. And so just to think about all the beautiful Patrick Lawler slow motion
Yeah.
that is just sitting on these hard drives that are right next to me out of frame is kind of a bit of a tragedy. So, you know, I challenge anyone who wants to cut this stuff together to contact me.
I love the final act of the movie, and yeah, the reunion concerts, and what a great, you know, turnaround and event for you. It must have been great, John, to be part of that. And you were having health issues too, right? Leading up to that.
Yeah. All of those things are true. It was totally crazy to have sold out shows while at the same time, like, not knowing if I'd be able to play them, and not really telling the band members the situation. Just kind of hoping for the best. And it worked out. Definitely worked out.
John, will you tell them what it is that you do now? And because I think that that's a really cool full circle moment that didn't make the end of the film.
Yeah. The thing I do primarily for work now is injury recovery. I do health and fitness training and manual therapy, but I prioritize working with people that are dealing with either acute injuries or chronic injuries and nerve injuries. So I get to do the things that I was lucky enough to find specialists that were able to treat me. So I get to help other people now.
Oh, that's great. What a nice. Are you still able to play your instrument? Or you?
Yeah, I play guitar. I do handstands. I tap dance. I use my body more than ever.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's a success story. That's great. Wow. What now? Where can people find this film after the festivals? Are you're trying to get distribution? Are you self-distributing, or how?
We're working on it.
Working on, yeah, that's
we're
always
working
good.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Festival circuit about too. Yeah.
Yeah, we're really enjoying the festival circuit and connecting with indie audiences, and you know, having that direct one-to-one connection with fans, and you know, reaching this, you know, this new market of people who are just intrigued by independent cinema, and that's been really exciting. We've had a wonderful response, and we're hoping that we can level up the film to an even bigger platform, because we've had so much success on this level. Not to sound arrogant, it's just been really surprising and overwhelming, but it's been so overwhelming, the positive response we've received. And so our hope is to take it up a notch and see how it goes on a bigger circuit. So you know, we'll stay tuned, I guess. Aaron.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the one thing with COVID is the timelines are a little different now, right? So
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
things would move a lot quicker normally, but because we're sort of navigating this new path of indie film distribution in the times of COVID, it's taking a little longer. But yeah, I imagine we're going to be hopefully in a major streaming platform soon, or at least later this year, and then of course. I know Chelsea really wants to do an educational component where we can also work with like schools and colleges and do sort of screenings with that. So that'll be another nice way to have other audiences outside of film festivals also see the film.
Now, Chelsea, I assume, and maybe Aaron too, that you are doing other work while you're working on this as well to sustain yourself. Because I had the same situation. I did educational films. I was still cranking out other films while I was working on my music doc, and I see that you've done work with Google and different things like that. Maybe talk a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I mean, it's the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm a filmmaker. There are a lot of, you know, tech giants here who have a, you know, need for content, and that's definitely. It is equal parts the reason why Bleeding Audio is now finished, and it is the reason why it took 6 years to make, is because San Francisco is an expensive city to live in. The work of corporate videos is very demanding, and so is making a indie documentary film. It's also difficult to fund an indie documentary film, significantly easier if you're working for companies like Google. And so it was, you know, a tightrope walk for sure. But yeah, I do, you know, TV commercials and brand films, and my hope is to continue, you know, doing that kind of work. But I have a few screenplays that I've written in my time working on Bleeding Audio that I'm hoping to get one of those produced next. So that's me.
Mhm.
Yeah,
What
the
about
life of a oh, sorry, I was just saying, the life of an indie filmmaker is like this is the constant juggle. So yeah, I on top of producing, so I my day job, so to speak, is I teach film classes at the local college and university, San Francisco State and College of San Mateo, which is what I was just doing before this Q&A. I was grading papers. So I'm a little brain dead, it's because of my students. And then I also just freelance, produce and direct various projects. And then I'm also directing a doc of my own that's was in early production last year, but because of COVID is now paused and hopefully will be resuming later this year.
Yeah.
The juggle.
What about you, Patrick?
So yeah, since COVID happened, I haven't been shooting very much. So I've been doing motion graphics and motion design and visual effects a lot, and so that's been really fun. I've been working on a bunch of true crime TV shows, doing animated timelines and quotes from judges and trial transcripts and fun stuff like that.
Patrick has like amazing work, by the way. You guys should all follow
thanks.
him on his socials. He's the most famous one out of all of us.
Patrick Lawler. Okay.
I'll check.
And where are you all located?
Obispo.
Where are you all located right now? People like
So-
to know, like, where are you sitting physically?
So I am in San Francisco, and 3 blocks away is Aaron Persley. We're neighbors.
Ah, nice.
And then I'm across the bridge. I'm over in Berkeley at the moment, coming at you from my camper van that I live in as I am transitioning towards moving into a school bus.
Upgrade.
And I'm in San Luis Obispo right now.
Oh, you are?
I'm at my parents' house where I've set up my computer in their living room. This is their piano behind me, and I've been working and hanging out with them. But I also have an apartment in Los Angeles.
Were you raised in San Luis Obispo, or they just moved there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, born and raised here. Mm-hmm.
Oh, great! Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like a homecoming, except for
absolutely
the virtual festival.
Yeah.
But close enough.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the matches, by the way. You know, the pretty infectious band, and the loyalty and devotion of your audience, and the connection that you had is extraordinary. I remember when someone from Nashville once threw a question right in my face and said, "What's the most important thing about a musician?" You know, and the answer was the audience. You know, you are not, if you're not connecting to the audience, the rest doesn't, you know, really matter too much. You guys really had that. And was that nurtured over time? What do you think the secret of that was?
Yeah, you know, I think we always really enjoyed connecting with our fans, not just while on stage, but even more so before the show and after the show. Our fans became our friends. I mean, it was just a big community, you know, like you said, you can't have one without the other. We needed them. And it was just we were incredibly lucky to have such a rabid and underground culty following that stuck with us. But we used to crash with people after shows. Like, we'd find people at shows that we'd be able to stay with because we were on a budget and couldn't afford a hotel, which gave us more reason to, you know, kind of talk to people and meet people. But even then, like, you know, when you're on tour, you're alone for the most part, and there's all these people that are there to see you, so you might as well like get to know them a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it was impressive. I kind of, you know, it kind of remind me a little bit like the Grateful Dead, that kind of like, the people are just so, you know, everyone's on the same vibe, you know.
Yeah.
It's just a different
Yeah.
vibe. You had a different vibe, but it was, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
and something that I love too is, and this little, you know, quote got cut from the film, and now I just am dying to bring it back, but is that like, you know, they constantly said this, is like they didn't want to be rock stars, you know, they didn't want to be like this pedestaled, you know, like unattainable person, you know, that was like something that I feel like was one of the reasons why I was so drawn to them too. You know, I was like, you know, I saw them open for one of my favorite bands, Motion City Soundtrack, back when I was living in Colorado as a teenager. And not only did their performance on stage blow me away, but like the fact that as soon as their performance was over, they were just out in the crowd, like talking and meeting people. And arguably that's probably the first time I met the Matches. I bought a CD, I think off of Sean, maybe. And like, it was just this thing where I was like, whoa, like it was such a formative thing to witness, like, oh, all these other bands are backstage, but like these guys just literally put on the best show I've ever seen, and now they're just in the crowd hanging out with
Yeah.
everybody else. Like that lack of ego and that like that literal like friendliness, and you know, the just, yeah, just like having that one-to-one conversation with people, it's just it means so much, especially to kids who are like at these all ages shows and they're looking for role models and heroes and they're learning about themselves. And you know, it's like being able to have like a great example of like a, you know, kind, like friendly person is a big deal, you know. So sorry, John, I know I just smothered you guys with some compliments, but I wanted to show that feeling because it made fans like gravitate towards them, you know. They're just so friendly.
Mhm.
They cared.
Yeah, you could feel it. Yeah. Well,
We were too
great.
young to be jaded.
What's that?
We were too young to be jaded.
You know, my son-in-law went and saw Bruce Springsteen a few years ago, and he actually came out in the parking lot later and was playing for some people. Yeah, he was really surprised.
So cool.
Yeah, yeah, it was quite a
He's the
treat.
boss. He's the
boss,
boss.
yeah. But
I think he
anyway,
recently got a
well,
DUI, didn't he?
uh,
Whoa.
He got a DUI a couple weeks ago.
Oh no. See, he's just a normal guy, just like everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah.
The boss on the sauce.
Well, anything you want to add as a kind of a final thought about the movie, or?
Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
These films take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It takes a lot of, you know, blood, sweat, and tears that you have to ask other people to give you in order to make them. And that is another thing that's, you know, very kind. So like from Patrick, from Aaron, from other collaborators who worked on the film, you know, I just am grateful to them for trusting me and my vision to get this thing done. And like, thank you to the Matches for allowing me to tell their story. I think, you know, it's about 50-50 on whether or not they're still happy with the result.
Yeah, right. We love it.
But no, it's like, it's great. It's just like, I'm just grateful, you know, as a filmmaker, all you can ask for is just to have people watch your work. So thank you for everyone out there in the
Sure. And if the film
zeros and
takes
ones.
off, I guess the Match has got to go on tour again, maybe.
Yep.
I would not be opposed to that.
Not sustainable though. It's not sustainable.
You guys only do like these little flyaways now. It's fine.
Yeah.
Last show ever. Last show ever. Last show ever.
Working on the sequel.
Milking that. Yep.
I was gonna say also. Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry. I was gonna say also, if you enjoy the film, follow us on our website and on social. Chelsea has been putting together some amazing panels. So if you go to our YouTube page, you can see some panels with our finishing team, like our sound mixing and sound mixing team, and then some others. So follow us on Facebook and Instagram, all of the channels, so we can keep you up to date on when we do eventually get on the quote unquote big screen, or is it the small screen? I can't figure out what streaming screen is. Every screen is the streaming screen, I guess.
All right. Well,
The
it's been a
stream
pleasure talking.
screen.
It's been a pleasure talking to you all, and I'm glad we were able to have 4 of you. This is a treat. And I want to thank KZOZ 93.3, our rock station, for making this possible, and our other sponsors, again, BHE Renewables, American General Media, and KSBY. And again, this is available for the Audience Awards. So those of you watching this right now, this is one of your favorite films. This is your chance to give it some love. And I really enjoyed it myself. And best of luck to all of you. I know it's a hard time for artists and filmmakers and musicians, and hopefully things will get better. They seem like they're turning some sort of corner a little bit here. So
yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Thank you.
Take care,
Thank
y'all.
you, Tom.
Thank
right.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
you.
Bye.